also be answering a few frequently asked questions. We also have some guest speakers in the audience who have had LASIK at Saddleback Eye Center with Dr. Manger, and they'll be sharing their stories with you. I'll introduce our panel this evening, even though they're not out here yet. They're on their way, I assure you. Yes. So first of all, there's going to be Dr. Park. Dr. Park is a staff optometrist here with us. She completed her undergraduate education at the University of California, Berkeley, and then continued on to the Berkeley School of Optometry. Dr. Park works closely in the clinic with Dr. Manger, examining patients before and after their LASIK procedure. And next we have Dr. Manger. Dr. Manger is the chief ophthalmologist and founder of the Saddleback Eye Center. He graduated from the U.S. Naval Academy with a degree in math and nuclear science. He served as an officer in the United States Navy on nuclear submarines and went to medical school at the University of Southern California. After med school, he completed a 1-year internship and a 3-year residency at the Doheny Eye Institute in Los Angeles. He is also a board-certified ophthalmologist. Dr. Manger is very experienced in LASIK surgery. He has performed 5,000 to 7,000 LASIK procedures each year for the last 16 years, with a success rate of 99.7% of his patients seeing 20/20 or better. Dr. Manger is considered to be the most experienced LASIK surgeon on the West Coast and the second busiest LASIK surgeon in the world, having completed 66,000 LASIK procedures. And here he is, our guest of honor.
Good evening.
Unfortunately, over 90% of LASIK surgeons in the U.S. will only perform 20 LASIK procedures per month, whereas Dr. Manger routinely performs 300 to 500 procedures each and every month. So trust me when I say you're in good hands with Dr. Manger. Dr. Manger is also considered to be a leading authority in the world for LASIK. And so now, before we begin with our panel, we will bring up a couple of our guest speakers. All of our speakers have had LASIK at Saddleback Eye Center, and by the way, they will explain why some of them are still wearing glasses. Now we have Kelly. Kelly had his LASIK procedure done on August 26, 2011. His vision before LASIK was 2400, and now he's seeing 20/20.
Hi everybody, my name is Kelly. Just wanted to tell you, I had the worst situation of everybody. I had astigmatism and I was farsighted, which my ophthalmologist down in Valencia, I told him about 100 miles, told me I wasn't a candidate. So for 40 years I've been wearing glasses, and I finally got to the point that the glasses were breaking. I was in progressive lenses, the trifocals, and when I'm on the road, it got to the point where it was an inconvenience. It was a nuisance to have glasses. So I finally did some investigative work, found Dr. Manger in Saddleback Eye Center, came down here not knowing whether I was going to be a candidate or not, but I came to a seminar. And believe it or not, the seminar is where you get all your questions answered, where you get prepared for that evaluation. And I really learned a lot. I brought my iPad down with a bunch of questions on it, asked every single one of them. Every single question got answered. So what I'm going to implore on you is, if you're reluctant or if you're resistant or want to find out what's going to happen, ask those of us who have had it done. Ask the doctor. Ask the doctors, Dr. Park as well. They're all here to help you. It's a wonderful thing. I woke up the next morning and I could actually see. You know, with astigmatism, everything's blurry when you don't have any glasses. So that night I actually went down and watched my daughter play soccer without glasses for the first time. So,
How did you find out that we corrected farsightedness and astigmatism? Because that's a real common one. These optometrists and ophthalmologists that obviously don't do LASIK surgery. They just throw that out there.
Oh, yeah.
You can't. LASIK can't correct that. Well, the truth is, I've been doing it for 16 years. So, how did you know, or did you came to the seminar and you found out?
I came to the seminar. I made an appointment for the evaluation, and the ladies here just happened to say we're having a seminar this Saturday when you want to come on down. and I came to the seminar, and one of my questions was, how can you correct astigmatism and farsightedness? And it got answered during the seminar, which was amazing. Then becoming a candidate started to cross my mind, because they do reject 20% of the candidates that come through the office. They don't take as a potential LASIK patient. So then I started to worry that I'm not going to be a candidate. I'm not going to be able to have it done, and I'm going to have to go back to classes. But I passed all the tests, hopefully with flying colors. Dr. Manger and his staff, everybody here was so helpful. During the procedure, there is no pain. You know, if you have that question, don't worry about it. There's a little bit of pressure and looking at lights, and you're done in about 5 to 10 minutes total time, which is amazing. So, I'll be around. Again, this is the best opportunity for you to get your questions answered. Please grab us all, ask the question.
Yeah, I mean, when you came into the seminar, I got the feeling that you weren't sure if you were going to have it done or not.
Right.
And you had a ton of questions. And it was fine. I mean, that's what we're here for. So we were happy to answer.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming to share your experience.
Let's discuss how the eye works. So this is the model eye. The human eye works kind of like a camera. There are 2 lenses in the eye. The outside lens is called the cornea, and this controls your distance vision. The inside lens here kind of acts like an auto zoom lens of a camera and changes focus as you look far to near. Okay, these 2 lenses work together to create a perfect image on the film on the back of the eye called the retina. Now, in a normal eye that sees clearly without glasses or contacts, this outside lens, or the cornea, is perfectly shaped round. So imagine like half of a basketball. So the light coming in from distance hits the cornea, passes through the lenses, and it gets a clear picture on the back here. And the nerve picks up that picture, sends it to the brain, and that's how we see clearly. Now, a lot of vision problems or blurry vision is a direct result of this cornea being misshaped. For example, in an eye that is nearsighted, this cornea is shaped too steep, kind of like cone-shaped like this. This causes everything to focus up close, but the distance vision is blurry. In farsightedness, this cornea is too flat, so everything is focused just too far for your eyes to see clearly. And if you have astigmatism, this cornea is shaped kind of oval. Imagine half of a football shape. So all images, distance, up close, looks distorted and smeared. So now LASIK can correct all of these problems simply by reshaping the cornea. So that if the cornea is too steep, the laser flattens it down. If it's too flat, the laser will make it steeper. And if it's oval shaped with astigmatism, then the laser will make it round. Now Dr. Manger uses 3 different lasers during the LASIK procedure. The first laser is a custom view wavefront laser, and that creates a detailed 3D map of your eye. The second laser is a computerized interlace laser, and Dr. Manger will create a thin, precise corneal cap or flap on the surface of the eye. Then Dr. Manger will gently lift the flap, and then the third cool laser beam reshapes the cornea. After that, the flap or cap is placed back into its original position, and the healing begins immediately. Because the cap or flap is a part of your own skin, we don't need to put any sutures or any medicine or glue. The flap will begin healing immediately.
Thanks, Dr. Park.
Just a second, we're going to interrupt.
Sure, we've actually just had surgery. Actually,
These aren't my everyday glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just got the surgery done. It was okay. It's easy. Yeah, I recommend it. So,
You got monovision, one eye's for distance, one eye's for reading.
yeah,
You're a driver, right? So
Right.
you really rely on the distance vision big time.
exactly.
The up close is important.
Just ready to be done with the glasses.
And he's headed over for the
hotel.
Yeah.
hotel, yeah.
And did it hurt? Thank
I
you.
don't know.
That's what I really want to know. Did it hurt?
I expected it,
$1
but it didn't.
There's 2 different ways that you can make a flap, either with the metal blade or with the laser. Can you explain the 2 different technologies?
Oh, well, with the metal blade, we have the keratome, which has dozens of little moving parts. The biggest of which is the little blade that oscillates back and forth and cuts the corneal cap. And I did this for about 6 or 7 years. We pretty much had it mastered, and it's a good way of doing it. But I can just tell you, I think this is the biggest advance in the 16 years I've been doing LASIK surgery. Is when now we do it with a laser. It's safer, it's more precise. I'm telling you, with that metal blade, there's always once or twice a year, there's a misshapen cap. You kind of have to stop the surgery, have the patient come back in 3 months and do it again. So even once or twice a year is too much for that. So this is just a much, it gives the patient peace of mind. Believe me, it gives the doctors peace of mind too. But what's shocking is probably half the LASIK surgeries done in the U.S. this year will still be done with the metal blade. Because there's a lot of cost involved and a lot of technique involved learning how to interlace. And not everybody has the commitment to do that. Some doctors doing, a lot of them are doing 5 or 10 eyes a month, which is not enough for sure, but it's certainly not enough to have an interlace, so they still use the metal blade.
And I saw a couple of your faces too when they showed the metal blade, the big wide eyes. What Dr. Menger also touched on too was the eye tracker, and that's really nice too for a patient's peace of mind. I'll have patients come in and tell me, you know what, Stephanie, I feel comfortable with Dr. Menger as with my surgeon, with the newer technology. However, I don't trust myself with keeping my eye very still. So what we do with that eye tracker, basically it keeps your eye center the entire time. It's tracking your eye movement a minimum of 400 times per second. So you don't have to worry about looking away, messing up the procedure. It can't happen. It's just another level of safety that we have in place for patients. And my next question is for Dr. Park. Now that I feel comfortable with the technology and the procedure, how do I know if I'm going to be a good candidate for LASIK?
Now with all the new advancements in technology, most patients are good candidates for LASIK. LASIK can help patients with all types of prescriptions like farsightedness, nearsightedness, astigmatism, and for those patients who need reading glasses. And because of all these advancements, even patients with high prescriptions, thin corneas, or dry eyes, who maybe have been told in the past that they weren't good candidates, may actually now qualify for LASIK. Okay, but there are 3 main requirements that we're looking for. First, you have to be at least 18 years old, because that's when the eyes are fully grown and the cornea is not changing shape anymore. Second, your prescription must be stable for at least 1 year. And third, your eyes must be free of any eye conditions such as cataracts or keratoconus. But the best way really to know if you're a good candidate is to come into our office for your thorough LASIK exam. This exam is not just a quick screening of 2 to 3 tests, but we'll go through an extensive test of 14 different diagnostic exams, which takes about 2.5 hours to complete. Our patients tell us all the time that this is the most comprehensive eye exam that they've ever gotten. Okay, but however, even with all of the advancements and technologies available, not everyone can be a candidate, and typically Dr. Menger turns away about 20% of his patients.
What Dr. Park said, when we say 14 tests, we mean all 14 tests. You have to pass all 14 to be a good candidate. And it always amazes me. I'll have patients that will come in and say that they've been to another facility and their exam was only about 30 to 45 minutes long. Now, if they're not a LASIK specialist, they don't always invest in the correct diagnostic equipment. Or if there's multiple offices, that equipment's spread out over those different offices, so they can't do the entire exam in just one location. Oftentimes, too, you don't even get to meet a doctor or even the surgeon. It's a technician that's doing the entire process for you, and it's the technician that's making the decision whether or not you're going to be a good candidate for LASIK or not. Now, we just have one office here, and really the benefit with that is Dr. Menger's very hands-on with all of his patients. And believe it or not, he personally evaluates each and every one of those patients that comes in and gets to let him, talk to them, let them know if they're a good candidate or not. Now, when you come in for the actual procedure, it's very easy. We make it really easy for all of our patients. And in fact, a lot of them like to do both their exam and their procedure the same day when they come in. We have you fill out paperwork, do a couple more tests. That's probably the hardest part. And you go back for surgery, start to finish. It's only about 20 minutes long. And we just give you a series of eye-numbing drops. There's no needles, there's no IVs, so it's a lot easier even than the dentist. And you have your own personal coach with you the entire way. So they are there for moral support, holding your hand. And for the ladies, we can give you a stuffed teddy bear to hold on to, or for the guys, a little bit more macho, a Nerf football. And that's going to be your best friend for the process. And then right after the surgery, we do a quick exam for you with one of the doctors, and you're good to go home. We do ask that you have a ride home, or if you live outside the local area like you just saw, we can have the hotel shuttle pick you up, take you to the hotel, and you just rest for the first few hours. And after resting, when you wake up, you can watch television, eat dinner, watch a movie. Nothing too strenuous that day. But we see you back the next morning for a quick post-op check with Dr. Manger, and you're back to most of your normal activities the next day. You can even go back to work, drive a car, sit in front of a computer too. When Dr. Manger sees his patients the next day, they're seeing 20/20 or better, so they are able to do that. Now there are a few restrictions after the LASIK procedure, but nothing I know none of us can handle. There's no swimming for the first week, and the second week if you go swimming, you just want to wear waterproof goggles. And probably the hardest part for ladies, I'm sorry, but there's no eye makeup for the first 3 days. After that, you're fine. Also, too, you can exercise, cardio's all right. Heavy weightlifting, though, unless you're training to be the next Iron Man or Iron Woman, nothing over 300 pounds for the first 3 days. Okay? And we do want you to wear protective eyewear just for the first 5 days to remind you not to touch or to rub your eye. So that includes regular glasses. There's no prescription in them. We will provide those for you, along with clear goggles that you want to wear when you go to bed at night. A lovely pair of goggles, okay? And then if you go outdoors, to just wear good quality Polaroid sunglasses. So that's it in terms of restrictions. Now my next question is for Dr. Manger. Dr. Manger, sometimes we'll have patients that will come in and they'll ask about side effects. So would you mind touching on any typical side effects after
Well,
LASIK?
one would be fluctuating vision. It's like good contact lens day or bad contact lens day. There's a little bit of variation in vision, maybe 20/20 in the morning, 20/25 in the afternoon, or vice versa. A little bit of variation. Again, these are short term. We're talking about a couple of weeks. Light sensitivity to the sun during the day, and certainly some of the patients may have glare and halos around lights at night. I don't know, did you have that, Kelly? Well, Kelly didn't have it, but some of the patients have it. But the good news is it's really, with today's advanced technology, it's really a short-term side effect, or again, of 2 or 3 weeks maximum. And 5 or 10 years ago, with the older technology, some of it used to be much more long-lasting than that. So that's been a real advantage to some of these things we were talking about, like wavefront technology. And custom view were specifically designed to alleviate those kind of side effects, and they really did work well. Also, everybody's going to have dry eyes after LASIK. Some people have dry. I can tell you, 1 out of every 4 of my patients that come in to get LASIK surgery are people that wore contact lenses. They're irritated, allergies, whatever. They can't wear them anymore, don't want to wear them anymore, and they don't want to go back to glasses, so they're going to have LASIK surgery. That's about 1 out of every 4 people that come in here and have LASIK with me. So some people come in with dry eye, but they have dry eye or not, the surgery is going to make your eye a little bit drier than it was going into the surgery. And the reason for that is because when Dr. Park was explaining about making that cap, there's a lot of nerves in the cornea, and some of those nerves get interrupted when you make that cap. When you make it with a blade, and you make it with the interlace like we do, you still interrupt those nerves, and those nerves are the ones that send the message to the tear glands, make tears, so they're not getting the message anymore. So you're not making as much tears as you did before the surgery. The good news is those nerves do regenerate or grow back, and it takes them 3 to 6 months. So after 6 months, your tear, or 6 months, maybe even a year at the most, your tears should go back to the same level that they were before you ever had the surgery. In the meantime, you're going to be taking things like this little eye drop. which you get at Costco or Target or wherever you want to get it. And so over-the-counter drops to keep your eyes lubricated for 6 months. Okay, 6 months on that. So those would be the main side effects.
And if you've ever worn contacts before, I always tell patients you can liken the side effects of your contact lenses to the side effects you get with LASIK. Okay? And Dr. Menger, I know another side effect you mentioned is enhancement. So why might a patient need an enhancement, and what kind of outcome can they expect from that?
Well, as accurately as we measure your eyes and do all these 14 tests, and as accurate as the laser is, believe me, it's accurate. It recalibrates itself before every single eye we do. So it's all, everything, the technology, the mathematics, the science is always going to be super accurate in our hands. But the reality is that it still is the human body, and everybody heals a little bit differently. And it's going to be about, in my hands, a very small percentage. It's going to be about 3% or 4% of the people are going to need what we call a touch-up surgery. In other words, maybe their vision is 20/25 and 20/30, and they know they wanted a little crisper, they wanted a little sharper. And usually about 6 months after the surgery, I can go back and do a touch-up surgery, which is what we call an enhancement. It's just lifting that flap up, it's usually 2 or 3 seconds more of laser treatment. Fine-tunes the vision. You're going to get your 20/20 or 20/15 vision just fine after the enhancement. The enhancement person or the touch person that needs the touch-up is going to get just as good a vision as the person that got it the very first time. So, as I say, it's not a failure, it's just individual healing patterns, individual human healing patterns. It makes a slight difference in the power of your eye, and that slight difference is enough to give you 20/25 or 20/30. All we need to do is fine-tune it, and you'll get that 20/20 or 20/15 vision that you hope for. You just have to wait 6 months usually. So it's not a failure, but it is a little bit of a delay. But again, that's only 1 in every 30 patients.
Yes, Dr. Menger actually has a very low enhancement rate. Nationally, among LASIK surgeons, it's about 10 to 15%. Dr. Menger's enhancement rate is about 3%. Okay, so it's really low. Now, Dr. Park, I know that Dr. Menger does surgery on a lot of doctors, medical professionals. We even have a lot of patients that come from outside the country. I mean, if you look at our world map, you can see we have patients from all over. Last week, we actually had a family that came from Ecuador that had their procedure done with Dr. Menger. So clearly, they come here strictly for Dr. Menger's visual results. I wonder if you could touch on Dr. Menger's statistics.
Sure. We're one of the very few LASIK centers that actually conduct vision studies, and we've been tracking visual outcomes since 1996. We're able to do this because we are a one-location office. We have all of the data available to us, and what we do is we record our patient's data at one vision at 1 day post-op, 6 months, 1 year, and then we put that into a database which actually gets updated every 6 months. The optometrists, like myself, have been doing this every 6 months for the past 16 years since Dr. Menger first started performing LASIK surgeries. Now, consistently, our studies have shown that 99.7% of our patients are seeing 20/20, 20/25 or better, and now with the custom view wavefront technology, 72% of our patients are seeing 20/15, which is actually better than 20/20 vision. Now, tracking these outcomes and doing these studies is a lot of work and time, which is why you won't find any other LASIK centers that follow the visual outcomes as closely as we do at Dr. Menger's office.
And like Dr. Park said, the good thing about our office is there's just one location where we can be very hands-on with our patients, and so we can track our success rates and our visual results from our patients that come in here. A lot of times those multiple office centers are going to farm you out to different locations for aftercare, so really they don't have that ability to keep track of their success rates after LASIK. And Dr. Park, let's say, for example, I'm a patient, I'm over 40 years old. Can Dr. Menger help correct my vision so I no longer need reading glasses?
Sure. So let's go back to the eye model here. Everyone over the age of 40 will eventually need reading glasses, and that's due to a condition called presbyopia. Now, presbyopia is a natural aging change that happens to everybody, and that occurs inside of the eye, the inside lens that I mentioned earlier. Now this inside lens is supposed to be soft and flexible and acts kind of like the auto zoom lens of the camera. It actually changes shape. It gets fatter when we look up close, and it gets thinner when we change our focus far away. Now this system works very well for about 40 to 45 years. And then this lens starts becoming stiffer and stiffer until eventually it sits in the eye as hard as a rock, like this. So that's when patients notice that they can't focus for up close anymore. They have to kind of focus further and further away until their arms just aren't long enough. And they need bifocals, progressives, and reading glasses. Now, up to date, there is no medicine, surgery, exercise that can reverse the flexibility of the lens. But what we can do is we can change the outside lens, the cornea, to compensate for the lost inside. And now, it's still LASIK, and we use all of the same technology, but what Dr. Manger will do for you is called blended monovision. Now, the monovision concept has been around for decades, and some of you may have tried it with soft contact lens, and you may or may not have liked it. But the key point to remember is that monovision is not the same between all doctors. Dr. Manger's experience and expertise with blended monovision is such that the difference between the two eyes are made very subtle and minimal, so that the brain can actually blend the images together more easily. And that gives you that range of vision from far to up close. Okay?
And Kelly had monovision, Renee had monovision.
Right.
And Anna's going to talk to us later. She's the one who didn't have monovision. And Chuck Howard in the back, he had monovision too. So 3 out of 4 of our speakers did have monovision. The man that just walked out that just had surgery, he did have monovision. But there are some people that are over 40 that decide not to have it too. So it's an individual decision. We can't answer that question for you here tonight. You have to come in the exam room and we'll test you. Believe me, my optometrist, my Dr. Park, are going to spend at least 15 minutes in your exam if you're over 40. If you're under 40, you don't do anything. It's not a consideration. But if you are over 40, they're going to spend 15 minutes of that exam and show you what it would look like and get your reaction. There's multiple little tests to help you so you feel comfortable about the decision. I sent one of the patients I did just before that man that came out a few minutes ago. I sent the optometrist back in again to test her one more time, just to make sure that she was getting it just the way she wanted it. So we make sure. That's one of the many, many details. If you're over 40, that's a big detail.
Anna had LASIK on August 29th, and her vision before LASIK was 21,000, and now her vision is 2015.
She gets the award for the highest prescription.
It was bad. I couldn't see the big E. I could just see that there was a light on the wall. So it was pretty bad. And the 21,000 to 2015 was about a 12-hour difference. When I came back in for my post-op, I was seeing 2015. On the way home, I had the visor down because of the light. And it was so exciting because I could read the words on the visor. I'd never seen the words on the visor without my glasses or contacts on. You can see now I am wearing glasses. They're just the protective ones so that I don't inadvertently rub my eyes, but I can totally see everything. I am most excited to lay on my couch and take a nap and not wake up with like those crusty contacts in there. When I got here, the thing that most impressed me was that you can tell that LASIK is what these people do. Like Dr. Manger and his staff, like it's what they do. You can absolutely positively tell that every person here has a role in the system and they know what their role is. But at the same time, they perfectly balance that so that you don't feel like a number. It is very personalized service. Everybody you talk to knows your name. They all tell you your name. They walk you through the whole thing. So you can tell that everybody knows what they're doing, but you also don't feel like a number. So that was really important to me and what I really enjoyed about coming. It hasn't quite hit that I don't have glasses yet because I'm still wearing these. But I'm really looking forward to taking them off on Saturday.
Yeah, you're close. Thank
Yes.
you very much.
Yeah.